Yo, what's up, internet? It's actually the end of the 6th day here in Expedition. I didn't get to play very much yesterday. I didn't even get to stream yesterday, so I didn't record a video for days 4 and 5. I just decided to do it today after the stream. Now the other day, though, the day before that, I had decided that I just wasn't having a lot of fun with Forbidden Rite because of the map clear. Like, the skill was really powerful and it was doing tons of single target, but I just wasn't really having fun doing the map clear. So I went back to Freezing Pulse because I was still pretty early in the progression. Like, I actually just got this 6th link after the stream today, and I was on a 5 link on Freezing Pulse for a while there. And that was after throwing like 1,400 fusings at it. After the stream, I literally picked up a fusing in an Alba Temple and it linked in one fusing, which is typically how it goes in this game. But yeah, I went back to Freezing Pulse just because I wasn't really having that much fun with the map clear. Otherwise, my gear is largely the same. Like, I did pick up some Rite gloves for damage against hits against shield enemies, but otherwise, like, the same amulet with a different anointment, same boots, same belt, same wands and everything. We've added cold damage to this now that I'm on a 6th link. I had cold pen in here before with increased crit strikes and crit damage. I think eventually I'd want to recolor this, like late game when I have more crit scaling. Maybe if I've got a bottled faith or something, I'd probably drop the increased crit strikes and slot in hypothermia for my last link, because crit strikes really doesn't do anything for Ice Spear if you swap. I'm kind of glad I switched when I did, because I was still in a 5 link, my 2 Kikazarus, and it was a good way for me to still see what the progression of Freezing Pulse was going to feel like on the Atlas, because I'm like so behind compared to where I normally would be, just because of how little I've played compared to past leagues. And it's basically exactly what I figured, right? Like, the single target, especially on a 5 link, if you get to tier 14 to 16 on a 5 link, the single target feels really painful, and the Conquerors are a real pain. Even when you're Ice Spear swapping, it doesn't feel great. The map clear still feels okay on a 5 link, and the map bosses are okay. Once you get on a 6th link, we'll jump into a tier 16 shore really quick. This doesn't have much on it. It's got like unique boss damage and cast speed, but I think they can't be frozen because of the action speed thing, so that's sort of sketchy, but it doesn't matter. I think I've died 5 times total. I just, like, maybe like 20 minutes or so before this video, I died like 3 times to Alhazman, because the single target is so much lower and I don't have a poison flask that it's really easy to die to Alhazman right now, because poison damage, they said that they like nerfed his poison damage. It's still totally obscene compared to before. If you don't have a poison flask and he lives for longer than like 20 seconds, it's really easy to die to him. But I think I only had a couple deaths before that. I haven't really died since switching to Freezing Pulse, actually, I think, other than that. And that's easily, you know, relatively easily solvable by getting like a poison flask maybe. But it's just because Alhazman lives so much longer, right? So I think, like, as a league start build, the build's probably still okay, and I probably just deal with the single target problem. But I think for other people, a skill like Forbidden Rite would probably be more comfortable for them to do Conquerors and stuff a lot easier, and just deal with the map clear and maybe dying more often while mapping. I really don't like feeling stressed out or worried about dying while mapping, so definitely prefer the Freezing Pulse. We'll probably update the guide this weekend sometime with my final thoughts on it all. I'm definitely not playing as much as I normally would. Unfortunately, this league feels, I have to say, this has got to be the worst league I can remember. I don't have the greatest memory. I think people that watch my stream know that for a fact. But I can't really think of a league, at least going back as far as Legacy to me, where I felt like there was so little reason to play, right? Like, this league mechanic, and I've said before, and even in my league start videos, I like how fiddly this is, but there's no, like, I'll do all this fiddling, right? And I'm looking at the rarity, so I'm trying to make sure I pick up more runic monsters than chests, because that's what I'm currently investing in blowing up, right? These are runic monsters. We could come down here, but it's probably going to take too many I guess what we could do is like this, and then we'll get like these. Can I get 3? We'll get 2 then. And it just never feels worth it, right? You do all this extra thinking and extend your map clear by like an extra 30% sometimes, and it's just artifacts. It's like the same stuff you were gonna get if you had paid no attention, other than avoiding blowing up, you know, immune to the damage type you do. It just doesn't feel remotely impactful. And this is exacerbated by the fact that there's no logbooks dropping. I've dropped a single logbook in 93 levels since hitting maps. We dropped one in Act 3 or something, and it was like level 24, and it didn't matter. So we've gotten to engage with that mechanic exactly one time for the whole league so far, where it is actually worth anything. So this is basically the whole experience of the league so far, is blowing up dynamite and having it feel like it doesn't matter in the slightest. And it's really killed my desire to play. So you can see this is a tier 16 map boss with no like resistance and no life buffs. It's not the end of the world. It's mostly the conquerors and stuff. This is on a 6 link though, right? So not impressive for sure, but tolerable, I think. It's definitely a shame. It feels like you probably shouldn't need to feel like have a 6 link to feel like just mapping is feeling like okay like that, but I don't know. That seems to be the state of the game in 3.15, and I don't know. In general, it's left me with like kind of a weird feeling, and I don't know how much longer I'm gonna wind up playing the league for it. We'll kill Sirus and maybe we'll kill Maven. I want to play enough to sort of see how Freezing Pulse feels with each gear step from here, like the Pandemonius and the Virides especially, but I don't know. It's really left me with a weird taste in my mouth, and I don't know as I trust grinding gear in the same way, I guess. I don't feel like I can give them a lot of benefit of the doubt right now. Especially after this last patch they did, where they walked back tons of the mana changes and tons of the flash changes. And it was like, if these were so important for the direction of the game and for what Path of Exile 2 is going to be, or whatever the reason was for doing it in the first place, why did it only last 3 days? It couldn't have been that important. So the impact really is that the game feels less stable and less fun. Like, what was it for if it was so important? So it obviously just wasn't. And to me, when I see stuff like that, and even when I see them, they buff some of the skills. I've never once seen this company buff a skill gem after the league starts. I've seen them nerf it like twice, I think. You know, once with the Heralds and Delirium. I've never seen them buff a skill like that after a league start. Like, something is going wrong, it feels like. And I don't know. The impact to me right now is that I'm playing the same game that I was in Ultimatum, but worse. I can't feel like I can't, other than maybe the flask changes that I said even when we were reading patch notes. I've always wanted them to reduce the importance of flasks. I think I'm pressing them slightly less, and I'm actually glad that they are not such a humongous part of your character power. I think every other change in this patch feels like it's been a net negative on the game. And I don't know what that means for the future of the game. I just know that the game's not very fun right now. It really is starting to feel like it's been like a slide ever since Ritual, and I don't know what it's going to be like going forward. I just know that I'll probably play, gear up a little bit, update the Freezing Pulse Totems guide, and then just come back in like 3 months and see, you know, what the hell is going on with Path of Exile, because it does not feel like the right way at the moment. But it's not in a terrible state, I guess. It's just it's unfortunate that the game was in such a good place, it felt like 2 patches ago. Somehow they don't seem to agree, but then they make these changes and then they immediately revert over half of them. So I don't know if they know exactly what they want. I just know that I don't know exactly what I want. I just know that I don't want this. I certainly don't want this as much as I want what we had before. We'll see. It's not worth ranting about too much. We'll play a little bit more, get the guide updated for anybody else that wants to come back to Freezing Pulse Totems and is actually going to stick around in Expedition, and then, I don't know, find something else to play. Or maybe they'll actually patch more stuff and the league will be more interesting. We'll see. Until then, I guess I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.